Hello dear students of class 12, very pleasant good morning to you all. Hope all of you are keeping fine and doing well. Dear students, please pay attention. Today we are in the last part of our short story number 9, that is Sound Machine. The two important characters are Mr. Klusner, the old man, and Dr. Scott. Here today we will be discussing from page number 111 to 114, the end of the story. Here what we are going to learn today, that is Klusner's request to Dr. Scott to bandage the cut tree and falling of the tree branch and damage of sound machine. This is what we are going to learn today. Have a look at the board here once again. What are we going to learn today? Klusner's request to Dr. Scott to bandage the wounded tree and falling of the branch tree upon the sound machine and eventually damage of the sound machine. This is what we are going to hear. Let me remind you about the previous class, that is, in our previous class you have learned how our Klusner did the experiment in the park by cutting the trunk of the tree, and how frantically he heard the tragic painful cry of the tree, and in a frantic situation he called doctor early in the morning, and the doctor is there to check what is wrong with our Klusner. Yes, we are on page number 11 from the very beginning. The doctor looked at him. He seemed calmer now. There was no sign of madness or hysteria. He was merely disturbed and excited. Why he was excited? Because he wanted to show his experiment, the result of the experiment, to someone, probably to Dr. Scott. They went across the road into the park, and Klusner led the way to the great beech tree, at the foot of which stood the long black coffin box of the machine and the axe. Why did you bring it out here? The doctor asked. Why did you bring this coffin machine, the sound machine, and the axe here? I wanted a tree. There aren't any big trees in my garden. And why the axe? Doctor was surprised to see the axe there. You will see in a moment, but now please put on these earphones and listen. Listen carefully and tell me afterwards precisely what you hear. I want to make quite sure. Thus, our Klusner gave the earphone and gave it to Dr. Scott. The doctor smiled and took the earphones and put them over his ears. Klusner bent down and flicked the switch on the panel of the machine. Then he picked up the axe and took his stance with his legs apart, ready to swing. For a moment he paused. Can you hear anything? He said to the doctor. Can I what? Can you hear any sound? So our Klusner is ready with his axe in his hand to strike it, and as he was holding his axe on his hands, he asked, Doctor, can you hear anything? The doctor responded, what? Can you hear anything? Just a humming noise? Klusner stood there with the axe in his hands, trying to bring himself to swing again. He was ready. Imagine the axe is in my hand. Okay. But the thought of the noise that the tree would make made him pause again. What are you waiting for? The doctor asked. Nothing, Klusner asked. And then he lifted the axe and swung it at the tree, and as he swung, he thought, he felt, he could swear, he felt a moment of the ground on which he stood. He felt a slight shifting of the earth beneath his feet, as though the roots of the tree were moving underneath the soil, but it was too late to check the blow, and the axe blade struck the tree and wedged deep into the wood. So he observed how he cut the tree and how got the axe inside. At that moment, high overhead, there was a cracking sound of wood splintering and a swishing sound of leaves brushing against other leaves, and they both looked up, and the doctor cried, "Watch out, run, man, quickly run." So doctor saw the branch of the tree almost falling down, and he shouted at Klusner to watch out and run and escape. The doctor had ripped off the earphones and was running away fast, but Klusner stood spellbound. Spellbound means silent, staring up at the great branch, 60 feet long at least, that was bending slowly downward, breaking and crackling and splintering as its thickest point, where it joined the main trunk of the tree. The branch came crushing down, and Klusner leapt aside, leapt aside, jumped aside just in time. It fell upon the machine and smashed it into pieces. Unfortunately, see, the branch of the tree that fell on the sound machine, the experiment machine, and splitted into different parts, damaged into pieces. "Great heaven!" shouted doctor as he came running back. "That was a near one. Oh, that was a marvelous escape, near escape. I thought it had got to you." Yes, I thought the branch of the tree had fallen on you. Klusner was staring at the tree. His large head was leaning to one side, and upon his smooth white face there was a tense, horrified expression. Slowly he walked up to the tree, and gently he prized the blade loose from the trunk, pressed, lifted. "Did you hear it?" he said, turning to the doctor. His voice was barely audible. Barely audible, it was not clearly audible. The doctor was still out of breath from the running and the excitement. "Hear what?" "In the earphones, did you hear anything when the axe struck?" The doctor began to rub the back of his neck. "Well," he said, "as a matter of fact," he paused and frowned and bit his lower lip. Yes, pressing all those things. "No, I am not sure. I couldn't be sure. I don't suppose I had the earphones on for more than a second after the axe struck." Yes, but what did you hear?" "I don't know," the doctor said. "I don't know what I heard. Probably the noise of the branch breaking." He was speaking rapidly, rather irritably, without liking. "What did it sound like?" Klusner leaned forward slightly, staring hard at the doctor. "Exactly what it sounded like." What our Klusner is trying? He's trying to prove that even trees make painful cries or sounds when they are cut. "Oh hell," the doctor said, "I really don't know. I was more interested in getting out of the way. Let us leave it. Let us leave it. I did not mind what I heard, but I was trying to escape from falling under the branch of the tree." "Dr. Scott, what did it sound like?" Again Klusner is forcing our doctor. "Yes, tell me, doctor, what did you hear? What did you hear?" "For God's sake, How could I tell what with half the tree falling on me and having to run for my life? For God's sake, what could I tell? I was trying to escape, so I could not just hear anything. The doctor certainly seemed nervous. Klusner had sensed it now. He stood quite still, staring at the doctor, and for fully half a minute he didn't speak. The doctor moved his feet, shrugged his shoulders, shrugged his shoulders, and half turned to go. Well, he said, we would better get back. Yes, well, we would better get back. We go from here. Look, said the little man, and now his smooth white face became suddenly suffused with color. So our Klusner is becoming emotional here, yelling anger here. Yes. Look, he said, you stitch this up. Now pointing to the wound of the tree, our Klusner is telling our Dr. Scott to bandage, stitch this one. Stitch this one. Yes, where is that? Yes. The tree, he pointed to the last gash that axe made and the tree and stitch it, S-T-I-T-C-H, yes, stitch this wound. He is asking to stitch this wound. Yes, gaping wound. This is the gaping wound. See, look at here. If this is the tree, okay. Our tree is here. Yes, our tree is here, and our Klusner is telling or compelling Dr. Scott to cut the gaping wound of the trees, to stitch. Look, said the little man, and now his smooth white face became suddenly suffused with color. Look, he said, you stitch this up. He pointed to the last gash that the axe had made on the tree. You stitch this up quickly. So our Klusner is telling, like when there is a big wound in our body, we go to the hospital and the doctors, what they do? They stitch the wound, isn't it? If the wound is big or large. Yes, now same way our Klusner is asking Dr. Scott to stitch the gaping wound of the tree. Don't be silly, the doctor said. You do as I say. You do as I say. Stitch it up. Klusner was gripping the axe handle and he spoke softly in a curious, almost a threatening tone. जल्दी इसका सिलाई करो, stitching करके भी पट्टी बांध लो. Yes, threatening, holding the axe in his hand. Klusner holding the axe in his hands, almost in a threatening way, asked Dr. Scott to stitch the gaping wound of the tree that was made by the axe. Don't be silly, the doctor said. I can't stitch through wood. Come on, let us get back. Doctor told, I'm sorry, I cannot stitch the wood. How can a doctor stitch the wood with his needle? So doctor told, don't be silly, the doctor said, I can't stitch through wood. Come on, let us get back. So you can't stitch through wood? Klusner is asking. You can't stitch through wood? No, of course not. Have you got any iodine in your bag? What if I have? So Klusner asked, have you got any iodine in your bag? Yes, doctors carry the first aid medicines in the medical kit. And he asked, have you got iodine? Iodine to apply on the wound? Yes. What if I have? Then paint the cut with iodine. So paint. So if you cannot stitch this wound, do then iodine. Apply the iodine. Paint the iodine. Where is that? Yes. Paint cut with Where is that? See, uh, iodine, yes. Paint the cut with iodine. He is saying that. See, you have to cut this. Then paint the cut with iodine. It is sting, but that cannot be helped. It is sting that cannot be helped. Now look, the doctor said, and again he turned as if to go. Let us not be ridiculous. Let's get back to the house and then paint the cut with iodine. Again he is threatening. Yes, iodine लगाओ. कौन किसे बोल रहा है? Our Klusner is forcing Dr. Scott to apply the iodine on the gaping wound of the tree. Paint the cut with iodine. The doctor hesitated. Once again, the doctor hesitated. He saw Klusner's hand tightening on the handle of the axe. So at the same time, doctor saw Mr. Klusner tightening the grip of the axe in his hands. He decided that his only alternative was to run away fast. Now doctor thought his only way is to run away as fast as from there, and he certainly wasn't going to do that. But he was not going to run away from there. Alright, he said, I will paint it with iodine. Alright, okay. When doctor saw our Klusner holding the grip of the axe so tightly, he told, okay, I'm not going to run away, but I will paint it with iodine. He got his black bag, which was laying on the grass about 10 yards away, opened it and took out a bottle of iodine and some cotton wool. He went up to the tree trunk, uncorked the bottle, opened the bottle, tipped some of the iodine into the cotton wool, bent down and began to dab it into the cut. So finally, as there was no way for Dr. Scott, he opened his iodine box and took out some iodine nicotine and started applying it on the wound here, on the wound and everywhere. He started applying, and probably for bandaging. He went up to the tree, uncorked the bottle, tipped some of the iodine onto the cotton wool, bent down and began to dab it into the cut. He kept an eye on Klusner, who was standing motionless with the axe in his hands, watching him. Make sure you get it right in. So again he is telling, do it properly. Yes, the doctor said. Now do the other one. The one just above it. Again, second wound. Probably another wound was also there. So he is asking, yes, now do this one. Do this cut mark also. Yes, this one also. Do this one. Yes. This one also. You fill it now. Now do the other one. The one just above it. The doctor did as he was told. There you are, he said. It is done. Yes, finally doctor has completed his job. He straightened up and surveyed his work in a very serious manner. That should do nicely. Yes, that is going to do all right. Klusner came closer and gravely examined the two wounds. Yes, he said, nodding his huge head slowly up and down. Yes, that will do nicely. Yes, this medicine will do nicely. That will be cured. He stepped back a pace. You will come and look at them again tomorrow. Okay, doctor? Now you have to come and check it tomorrow. Check again the wound. Yes. Oh yes, the doctor said, of course, and put some more iodine on. If necessary, yes. Thank you, Dr. Klusner said, and he nodded his head again, and he dropped the axe, and all at once he smiled, a wild, excited smile, and quickly the doctor went over to him, and gently he took him by the arm and he said, "Come on, we must go now. Okay, come on now, we must go." And suddenly they were walking away, the two of them walking silently, rather hurriedly across the park, over the road, back to the house. Yes, dear students, that is the total story. What our Clusner was trying to say? Clusner was trying to prove his theory that there are sounds, if it is high pitched, that our human ears we are not able to hear them. If it is low pitched, then also we are not hear them. And it is not only human beings or animals cry in pain and agony, but when a serious injury or wound is done, then definitely the trees, the plants, the flowers, all those living objects will also make painful cry. And that is what he did. He tried to prove. But unfortunately, his purpose was spoiled by the damage of the machine. Alright, dear students, I wind up the class here, and what I will be sending you the link of this one link based on which a short movie is created. You can watch that link, then you will definitely understand the story as you watch the story of our To Build a Fire. Same movie, almost the same type thing is there, but it is short, just maybe 10 to 12 minutes. Alright, thus we have completed story number 9. Just one story is left for us to complete the total syllabus. Dear students, have a revision of all these things. I will be uploading all these videos one by one, and you have to write down the summary, make a note, and understand and read by yourself. Alright, you take care. For the time being, we stop, and in our next class we will be coming with the final short story. Alright, thank you very much. Have a great day.